gamered up.
Is that who's a Spider-Man? Who you got back there?
It's a superhero skin that came out like 4 days ago.
Nice. Yeah, well, we're in the middle of the Marvel season now for all things Fortnite. So I love it. Well, you guys got the official headsets, so we know you're true gamers.
Yeah. My favorite emote came out I think like 10 minutes ago.
Oh,
so I got it.
What is it?
Out West.
All right, I gotta check that one out. Yeah, they have. I mean, Fortnite. They're just like constantly updating with new stuff all the time. So it's that game. I remember. I remember Jackson. You came down. I think the Fortnite
Pro-Am
World Championships. I remember you and Bill came down one year, a couple years ago at E3 when it was at the stadium.
God. Are you kidding? At the Coliseum?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Jackson, you remember that?
Yeah, of course. I was like, "What? You weren't going to tell them about that? You were going to say it to the beautiful people watching?"
But I don't know. I mean, I'm sure people who know this world know what that is, or do know what that is. But maybe we could just talk about. Maybe you could explain, Geoff, what that was.
Yeah. So, Fortnite has become a massive phenomenon over the past couple of years, and I think everyone probably knows what that is. But they did this thing. I guess it was two years ago, I think, which was the first kind of world championships of Fortnite. And people play the game competitively because they're so good at it. They spend so much time on it. And at LA Coliseum, they had what was kind of a pro-am, which was this idea of taking big names in the entertainment world and popular players and kind of having them face off against each other. And it was done, like you said, in the grand scale outside with thousands of people and streamed around the world. So it was, during E3, which is this big convention in the summer in LA that I've been going to for 20 years. And that year they were doing it. And I remember, you and Jackson were like, "Hey, we want to come check it out." So I'm like, I think I wasn't even there. I was like doing something else at E3. Let's hook you guys up. And
you hooked us up. And we went to like the cool little. There was like the hospitality area. We were up there.
I think I recall it like exactly how we did. So I was in a cosplay of a character from Mega Man, and I was and I was just walking around, and people were like, "Oh man, it's so great!"
Multiple parts to that E3 thing, which takes over LA, and the Fortnite thing was such a crazy phenomenon. And then last year they did it in New York at Arthur Ashe Stadium, and they had there's this young kid Booga who was, I think he's like 15 now or something like that. He won the world champion of this game, and the whole world of esports has become something that's really evolved. That is competitive play around these games where people make millions of dollars playing these games professionally, and that's something that has evolved over the past probably 5 years.
By the way, Ben and I are in Philadelphia, and there's that Fusion Arena that's I guess on hold now that they're building. Which is that the first arena stadium?
Yeah, that'll be the first arena. Yeah, because it's like Comcast, the son of the CEO of Comcast, owns a team there, Fusion. They're going to build that arena, and they're actually bringing back the G4 TV network, and it's Philly and Comcast has really invested in a big way in esports. And I think they had actually the finals of Overwatch, I think last year, were in Philadelphia, I think, and they did like a big Overwatch finals. And esports now, they take over like Olympic stadiums in Japan, in China, and even here in the States, like Madison Square Garden, Staples Center, like they it's like 20,000-30,000 fans get together to watch people play computer games.
And this arena is specifically for that.
No, that's like the future is. And again, it's sort of like when you came to the Game Awards, Bill. It's like people go to these arenas and like, wait, there are 20,000 people here at Madison Square Garden, like watching people play games. And it's at Jackson and Ben will tell you, it's like part of the power of this community is that like we love to get together and gather and appreciate the skill of how people play these games.
It's one big family. It's one big family. Gamers.
That's true. It was like watching all these people watching this podium of people playing, and behind them was the big screen, and it was like some celebrity with marshmallow head, and they were playing.
It's funny. People will gather, he said, just to watch a screen, and that's why
and cheering and they were like, when the person would lose, and it would whittle down who was going to win. It was so much fun. It was really
great. This is the new the new sport is gaming, and it's, to your point, Gene, like there's really competitive stuff where people are so skilled, and there's other games where it's just fun to go on and play Fortnite with your friends, right? That's great at Fortnite. You can do stuff that's really skill based, or you can just go in and have fun, or even now people have probably seen this year, like they've done concerts in Fortnite. I did a thing with Chris Nolan and John David Washington where we like showed a trailer for Tenet in Fortnite, and it's becoming this idea of the metaverse is this new concept where everyone's going to gather digitally inside of these game worlds, and it's kind of like the next phase of the internet is going to be like these sort of virtual gathering places.
The new coaches, they're going to have them be doing push-ups with their thumbs, getting them in shape and strengthening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So these two dudes have some questions. Actually, we did bring them up.
Okay.
They did want to ask you some questions, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So maybe Ben, do you want to start?
Oh, well, you actually, we actually agreed that I would actually start first because you pretty much answered his question.
Oh, right. Okay. Very good.
I'm in.
I think you guys
do it
together.
Fire away, Jackson. I bet it's going to be a good one.
Well, I mean, it's kind of basic to me, but when did you first meet Phil Spencer and Reggie Fils-Aime?
Great question. Reggie, I met for the first time in 2000 and I want to say 4 or 5 when he first joined Nintendo. And I remember actually I had a lunch with him in Santa Monica. He flew down to meet me, and he was joining Nintendo when they weren't in great shape. And we just became really good friends over the years. He's such a personality, and I was just talking to him this past weekend. So we're very good personal friends as well. And that started as kind of a business relationship. Probably 15 years ago. And Phil Spencer, I actually don't remember the first time I met him. I've known him for a couple of decades, but he was just a kind of in the ranks at Microsoft. I mean, he's been at Microsoft for almost his whole career, I think. And I just met him at some point. He was a producer on a game or something, and he's one of those guys that has just like slowly risen through the ranks and now is the head of Xbox. And that's what's been amazing for me is it's all the same people I've known for like 20 or 25 years. And it just reminds me that, you always want to be gracious and good to everyone you meet, because you never know, where they're going to go or what, what's going to happen. And that's, one of the things to me, it's like this, like these guys, he wasn't Reggie we know now. When I met him 25 years ago, he was just, the new president of Nintendo, who was trying to understand this industry. And so it's a good question, but it's funny that, the games and the people that are making games today, it's sort of the same people that have always been doing it. It's just on like a grander scale.
Very nice.
Benjamin?
What was the first video game that you ever played, if you can remember?
The first thing I remember playing was kind of a half video game, but was also like more of an educational thing, because I mentioned that there were computer lessons that my parents took me to when I was young, and it was like it was like this thing called Turtle Tracks, and it was this thing where you basically would there would be like this little square or a triangle, and you would basically like tell it how to move, and you'd learn kind of how to program the game, but you'd have to like it'd be like a maze. You'd have to basically like take this sort of like triangle through, and that was what I was sort of a game. It was really more of like a piece of software that you learned to manipulate. But I did that, and there were some. I think I learned how to like read and type in sort of a gamified way, right? Where there are these like, typing tutor things. So that was that. And then after that, the first kind of more traditional game I remember was probably games that I played on the computer in our family living room, my brother and I. And those were probably some of those early adventure games that I mentioned, like an early King's Quest or something like that from Sierra, were probably the games that I remember, but I don't know exactly the first official game I played, but they were always around me. And of course I had like Nintendo and Sega Genesis and all that kind of stuff.
So it wasn't Pong?
No, I never like.
Did you play Asteroids?
All that Atari stuff. That's what I mean. Like I never like ColecoVision, Atari. I played them, but I don't really remember that. And like, also I played a lot of arcade games when I was a kid, because that was a thing where you go to like the pizza parlor and there'd be, he said like
Dragon Slayer,
Pac-Man, exactly, Dragon Slayer, exactly, all that. Terminator 2. I remember playing the light gun game, and I was like, in Daytona, USA, and all that kind of stuff. But it was really like the early computer games is what really I think got me hooked on it.
Very cool.
Jackson.
I kind of freaked out at Daytona USA because I love that game. It's one of my favorites.
Oh, so fun. And I used to go to the arcades and, you'd sit down with the steering wheel and it was like so much fun. Exactly. No, it was like such a great game. And I miss arcades, right? Like this year especially, we're all at home, but there was just something fun about all those Laserdisc games and all the I remember when I would go to Disney, it would be like these massive arcades. And I'd be like, this is heaven for me. More video games and, get my $20 a quarters and keep playing.
Hey, you mean like skee ball?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Skee ball is a game, and I still play skee ball. But yeah, those I miss, the Dave and Buster's and all these arcades, and just that was the fun of used to be the arcade games were so much better than what you would get at home. So you'd have to go to the arcade to get these amazing.
That's right.
Now
that's right.
Get them at home. It's just as good or better.
Right. Hey guys, why don't you, just because of time, why don't you each pick one more question for Geoff?
Pick a favorite.
Oh, okay. All right. Where do you have an idea for how the Game Awards are going to play out this year? It will within for example, like a Nintendo Direct. Are you going to do something similar to that, or are you going to be at the Microsoft Theater, but with no audience? So that's just going to be people presenting on the stage.
Good questions. You're looking for the scoop.
I'm looking for the scoop.
Yeah, we are. We're having to reinvent things a little bit this year in terms of how we approach it. We're not going to have, obviously, a big live audience physically. But the thing is now with everyone on Twitch and YouTube and people co-streaming and look, you guys are making a show virtually now. I've been doing the same thing.
We're not recording.
This is just family time, right?
Yeah.
The red light's not on. Is that a problem?
Yeah, we're not actually going to put this out there. We just wanted to see how you were doing.
The only way to get your time.
I was going to say, one pomp and circumstance for family time. So it's a great question, Jackson. We've been kind of trying to figure it out this year. We're not going to have a live audience, but we are going to definitely do the show. It's going to be live. We did a thing a couple of weeks ago in a studio in Glendale that was for this other game show called Gamescom, which is a big European show. So that was kind of a test for us of can we do stuff live in a safe way with COVID? But yeah, we're definitely going to do it. We're not going to have a live audience, but we're still going to have game announcements. We're still going to have awards. We're still going to have music. Bill may or may not be involved. It's there's lots. We're definitely. It's a huge opportunity for us because games have had such an amazing year. And I think they've been more important to people than ever before. So this year I think is incredibly important that we do the show. And I called all the gaming companies. I called Phil Spencer and all these guys and said, hey, is it right to do the show this year? Does it feel right? Should we delay it? And everyone unanimously was no, this is really important that, we do Game Awards in December and this industry's had, it's a big year. There's a new Xbox coming out, a new PlayStation. I think a lot about the right tone of how we present the show and what the right feeling is this year around the show. So we're trying to figure that out. But yeah, 100% it's happening in December. And next year we'll probably go right back to, the way we used to do it at the Microsoft Theater with all the fans, I hope. But this year, it's gonna be a little different. So it's probably the hardest year for us in many ways too, because we have to reinvent the way we do everything. And normally we're you said, we know we're at the theater. We're just picking, who's our presenter going to be, who's our musical artist. And this year it's well, how are we going to film that stuff? How are we going to, do something to keep everyone safe? And that's, it's a big challenge. So yeah, it's a good question. It's definitely what I think about all day right now.
What's interesting? Sorry, Ben, just real quick. What's interesting is you watch these competition shows, right? America's American Idol, and the first time I saw it, I was I don't know if I love that. But they're doing these huge walls of audience on video screens. There's something really cool about that. Not that maybe you want to copy that idea, but there's something interesting about can you put big video screens in the audience in the theater?
Yeah.
If
I think that's like
it's kind of cool.
One of the best parts of their show always on Twitch is like these react videos where people will be like watching the show from home and they'll like freak out when we announce the new Xbox, right? And you can look at all these reels, like going, yeah, exactly. That's
oh my god! Oh my god!
Exactly. So there's your live audience. You guys are hired. I think this was an audition to get you in the virtual audience. But yeah, that's the same thing. We look at that natural energy, and I'm like, how do I capture that and contain that in the show? And it's also global, right? Because Jackson's doing that in LA, but there are people in Brazil and in China and in Europe doing that as well. So how do we kind of take that idea of like a global audience and bring it together? So you're right, it's just us reinventing, but I think all the ingredients are there for us to still do the show and do it virtually. And all the stuff we've been doing this year, like the audiences have been bigger than ever before. Like I did a thing this summer where I interviewed Miss Piggy. It was over like a Zoom call.
Oh, right. Right.
That kind of, you know that you did that stuff, Bill. It's like all, it's like everyone's kind of finding new ways to do things. But yeah, that was a pretty good react, Jackson. I think we may have to, we may be hired for December.
Ben?
Right, Benjamin, final question.
What does it take to become a famous Twitch streamer, and do you want to play sometime?
Yeah, what are we gonna play? Fortnite? All right, I'm down. Yeah, we can exchange. We can become epic friends. Yeah, like it's an interesting question about being a famous Twitch streamer, and I'm certainly not one of those, right? Like I grew up more as like a traditional journalist. The thing with Twitch and YouTube and the streaming culture, it's so hard because there's so many people streaming, right? And it's kind of like what makes you a popular actor or celebrity. It's just like there's just a magic, I think, to certain people that just connect with an audience, and it's a lot of hard work. That's what I will say is the people that stream, even at the top levels of like a Ninja or a Courage or a Shroud. Those guys are streaming all the time, and it's really hard because you're live for like sometimes like 16 hours a day. I always like whenever I contact Ninja, I'm always like, oh, should I text him? And I'm like, let me check if he's streaming. And it's like, he's always streaming. And eventually I'm like, I'm just going to text him. And you see him like actually reply like on the screen. It's like, there's no time for them to do anything else because they're so busy. So I will say like, it's a really challenging career. And I know people think, it's like, oh, they just sit around and play video games all day and, make all this money. But it's really hard to like, we all know, like when we're doing these Zoom calls all day and everything, like eventually it really kind of like grinds on you. You need to take a break.
Yeah,
because it's so virtual, and these guys. So Ben, it's a great question. I think it's a time commitment, and that's also a little bit. It is the personality, right? Of like how you insert yourself into this, and some people are just naturally better at that, or funnier, or really good. That's the other thing. Some streamers are just like incredibly good players, right? And they have like incredible skill. Like people watch Booga because he's so good at Fortnite, and you want to learn how to get better. So there's no rhyme or reason, I think, to like some of these people popping, but I think my advice to people would be find something unique about how you're going to stream. And if you're just going to like sit there and just play games by yourself, just like I'm normally playing the game by myself and I'm going to stream it, you got to think of it as a show, right? And like a personality, and like sort of what's your shtick, and how are you unique or different than other people. And yeah, it's hard, but I think it's very democratic in that anyone can kind of just start streaming, and like hopefully you find an audience. And you also don't have to be the biggest streamer in the world to be successful on Twitch. Like I think there are a lot of people that can stream to a couple hundred or a couple thousand people, and that can be really good too. So do you stream, Ben?
Yeah, I stream.
What's your username?
Haha, see, Dad, I knew it. My Twitch
He's
is
been asking if he can do this.
It's a hyper _ storm TTV. That's what it is.
Hyper _ storm TTV.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go check you out tonight.
Wow.
What's your epic ID on
do you stream
Fortnite?
too?
I don't stream. But I do play with friends a lot. I feel like I should stream because like, because I'm always like making up jokes with my friends and like riffing with them. So like, if I could just like record like some of the stuff we say, then like I feel like we'd be hits, honestly.
Hey, it's that's the great thing about streaming now. It's like you can just like the technology how it's improved. Like the fact that we're doing this, all of us connected here, talking live just from like our browsers. Like it's just like I'm amazed because I come out, like you guys come out of the TV world, and it used to be like so challenging to like make television with all these people needed. And now it's like, look, same thing with like Fallon or all these. It's just like it all just like happens magically. And I'm amazed like that the internet and technology's allowed us to have like a 5-way conversation from all these different places, by ourselves. And it's just like it blows me away how cool it is. And same thing with streaming. You can just like click a button now. You're streaming your game.
Well, all right, boys.
Oh, but I just please one more question. I have one more question.
What is it?
Do it, Jeff.
So where did the nickname Dorito Pope come from? Do people still call you that?
Yeah, no, it's still over that. So that comes from there was a promotion I did many, many years ago. It's probably 10 years ago now for Halo. That was it was like a tie-in with Doritos and Mountain Dew, and I had to do these interviews where there was like a bag of Doritos and a bunch of Mountain Dews around me. And people took sort of exception to the fact that Doritos and Mountain Dew were involved in these games. And I think like it's, those are two brands that kind of like reinforce stereotypes of, gamers being, people that drink Mountain Dew and eat Doritos. And maybe that's actually, maybe it's true, but it doesn't elevate the industry, shall we say, sometimes to sort of talk about that stuff. So yeah, I did this promotion, and then afterwards people just started to call me like, Doritos Pope. And it was, I don't know why, but it's the sort of idea that I was like, someone did like a papal sort of like Dorito that they put on.
Yeah, I've seen an image where it's like you, but with like it's like the Pope's like hat, but it's like a Dorito chip. And it's like, there's like a hymn right next to it with like gamer fuel references and.
Yep. So that was look, I think because I came out of my roots as a journalist, there was a sense of like I shouldn't be, associating with other brands. And it's interesting now, like esports players and streamers, people have no problems with them doing all these endorsement deals. But yeah, and it was, yes, believe me, I it's one of those moments that you just sort of like lives with you. And if you search my name, you'll find some type of Doritos image. And yeah, it was, it was a little over the top. Like the interviews I did, I was like sitting there and there was like Doritos and Mountain Dew around me. So I totally get why people did it. And those things you just kind of have to like own. One year at the Game Awards, Doritos actually asked if I would dress up as the
I was gonna ask you, have you ever considered like dressing up as Dorito Pope and like owning it like, on stage?
Money would have to be very big, Jackson.
All right, junior hosts.
Yeah,
no,
I was gonna say these guys are pretty good. It's like
yeah, these are all their questions too. So
this may be a spin-off show. So sort of and Tracy Allen, this may be the Jackson and Ben show.
They can do their streaming show.
The Junior Barretta Brothers.
The
Barretta
Brothers Gaming
Junior.
Yeah, Barretta Brothers Gaming.
All right, guys.
That was fun, guys. Thank you for having me on, and yeah, hopefully we'll. You're invited to the Game Awards whenever we can have an audience again. But yeah, this year join us virtually, and yeah, I've had so much fun doing what I'm doing, and the fact that I like cross over and now get to like work and know Gene and Bill and all, like it's just been again a dream of mine. And thank you, Bill, for all you've done over the years to kind of support our stuff. And I don't think people know how much behind the scenes you've been involved in like these amazing Muppet moments that we've done. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for bringing joy to everyone in a year where I think we need that more than ever. It's really put a smile on everyone's face.
And you know what? I mean this too. Thank you for creating such an amazing platform to keep all of this stuff alive, because people just love this industry, and you are a big, big part of it. And to come on and talk to us, we really appreciate it. I know you didn't have to do this. You're a busy guy, but thanks so much.
It's an honor. Ben, Jackson, Gene, Bill, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you soon.
I think we have some future hosts in the family.
Yes, they were great. He loved their questions. They were really good.
Spin-off.
Yeah. And Geoff was great, right? I mean, what an easy guy to talk to.
Yeah, I really enjoyed meeting him. And I know so little about this world, and it was so easy.
Yeah, yeah. And he, talk about that world, it's like a lesson, a life lesson. He followed something that he loved as a kid and took it upon himself to just go for it. And look what he turned it into. I mean, he's taken his passion, the thing that he loved in life, and made a career out of it. And that's what it's all about, right? The balance of your life and your career and being happy, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Well, why don't we tell them about next week's show?
Okay. And I was going to wear my hat for the show, but I forgot. So I'm just going to put that on for the end of this show. And next week's show, we're going to have, who we have in Big Nose?
David Arquette.
David Arquette.